On the show a million times, Director of Education Policy. Welcome back, Michael McShane.
Hey, great to be back, as always.
So, Betsy DeVos, who is the Secretary of Education?
Yep.
She was giving a speech at Harvard, and to light applause, everyone had juice and cookies afterwards, and everybody went home happy?
Yeah, totally. It was went off without incident. No, didn't quite go down like that, McGraw.
What happened?
It was not fully interrupted, but it was definitely colored by protest. So you had students holding up hastily drawn signs on bed sheets. You had people trying to shout her down. They eventually were able to kind of quiet the room, and the people just sort of silently stood there. But I imagine if you happened to be in the room for it, it was rather off-putting.
What was so offensive, or what were these people not allowing her to talk about?
Well, so that's the kind of irony of all of this. You know, you and I think, have chatted multiple times about Secretary DeVos, and I have been clear that, you know, while I generally kind of agree with her on a lot of issues, I think she's made a fair number of missteps in her brief tenure as Secretary of Education. And actually, if you read the text of the speech that she gave, a lot of it was actually designed to answer some of her critics' concerns. People think that she spends too much time talking about school choice and not the schools that the vast majority of kids in America go to. She talked about that. You know, she really kind of broadened what she was saying. She was responding to, I think, some of her critics that she had, and talked about the kind of shared interest that we have as a nation in our public school system. And I thought it was a pretty good speech. But unfortunately, I think the folks were so kind of amped up to protest her, complain about her, et cetera, that they missed all of that. They might have actually enjoyed what she had to say if they had taken the time to listen.
Were there chants of her being called a white supremacist?
Yes, that's become, you know, it's kind of sad to the point where you get sort of desensitized to that. But yes, there were chants and I think signs both calling her a white supremacist, all sorts of kind of really, really horrible things that even if you have disagreements with her on policy, or if you think that, you know, she hasn't necessarily been as articulate as she could have been, I mean, it's just really kind of beyond the pale.
Right. Well, I mean, that's sort of everywhere, right? If you disagree with anybody, they're a Nazi or a fascist or a communist or a pedophile or whatever else, because you disagree that a stop sign should be there as opposed to here.
Well, and that's the really frustrating thing. You would imagine, look, I get if she wants to speak at some, political rally somewhere or something. This is political speech, and politics ain't beanbag, as they say. So if people want to protest and counter-protest and say it. But she was at one of our nation's most prestigious universities. You would imagine that if she is so wrong, or if she is so evil, or she has no idea what she's talking about, these students would be well able to bring that up, to ask her questions, to participate in that kind of way. It's at a university. That's what universities are for.
Right.
But it really is this disturbing trend that even at these institutions that are supposed to be the place where we debate and discuss and where good ideas should win out through argumentation and evidence and all of those, now we're just starting to just shout each other down,
yes,
refusing to even kind of participate in debate with one another. It's a really kind of frightening trend, because if it doesn't happen there, I don't know where it's going to. It's probably not going to happen on Facebook.
Yeah, and it doesn't usually happen on talk radio. Michael McShane.
Well, you are the exception, of course.
Well, of course, you have to say that. You're here. Michael McShane, you are always welcome here, Director of Education Policy for the Show Me Institute. Michael, thanks for bringing it up.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. Michael McShane, Director of Education Policy here at the Show Me Institute.